was blown away. Like, I could not believe I had never heard of these people. And I just couldn't believe everything I didn't know. I think that was the biggest thing. I couldn't believe all the things I didn't know and had never heard of. And I thought, I'm an educated woman. I know what's going on. I didn't know anything.
I'm so excited to be joined by Quisha King. She is the host of the Quisha King Show, founder of the Mass Exodus Movement, and a part of Moms for Liberty.
Yes.
Keisha, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
So I want to start by asking you to share a little bit of your story, because you weren't actually always conservative, and I love that you talk about the fact that where you grew up, it was even more acceptable to question the Bible than it was to question being a Democrat.
Yeah.
So what is your story?
So growing up, I come from a family who lives very conservatively, but just through tradition, just how everybody always did things, we always voted with Democrats. And so right after the 2016 election, I just started to question, some of the things that I was told, especially, with the riots going on and BLM rising up, and it just didn't make any sense. And so I was having a conversation with a close family member, and she said, I like BLM, but I wonder sometimes why they don't show up when there's crime in black neighborhoods. When it's like, why is it only directed towards the police? Okay. And at this point, I really believe, like, everything that was on MSNBC, everything that was on CNN, I thought it was like actual real news. And I said, well, I'm going to go and look up this statistics. And so I found that there were very few police that were killing unarmed black men, as opposed to crime in black neighborhoods. And it was just shocking to me, because I'm looking at the TV and I'm trying to justify what I'm reading factually, and it just did not make any sense. So it prompted me to kind of dig more into other statistics. And in that quest for knowledge and just being curious, I found Dr. Thomas Sowell. I found Dr. Walter Williams. I found Milton Friedman, and I was blown away. Like, I could not believe I had never heard of these people, and I just couldn't believe everything I didn't know. I think that was the biggest thing. I couldn't believe all the things I didn't know and had never heard of. And I thought, I'm an educated woman. I know what's going on. I didn't know anything. And it was just really jarring to me, because my whole family and everybody that I had ever been around never shared any of this. And so I don't remember exactly the time frame, but just dealing with all of this, I was sitting on my couch one day, and I'm a woman of Christian faith, and God spoke to my heart and said, your skin color has become an idol in your life. And that, I know, it was like, whoa. Yeah. And it was just very transformative, because it touched on everything. It touched on who I was as a mother. It touched on how I lived my life, because I had allowed something so essentially meaningless. I mean, skin color is meaningless. I mean, it doesn't do anything, it's just amounts of melanin. We all have melanin, and it's just varying amounts. There's no significance to it. But we put so much into this thing, and God was speaking to my heart saying, that's wrong, and I'm offended. And I had to repent. Like, I had to ask for forgiveness, because I was putting, instead of Christ being the center of everything and me living my life through what he wanted me to do, I was doing it through the eyes of being black. And it totally changed my life. It has been very freeing. I feel like 10,000 pounds have been lifted off of my shoulders. So I will never be the same.
Wow.
Yeah.
Those are such convicting moments when the Lord taps your heart.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, let's talk about this.
Let's have a conversation.
Okay. But not even a year ago, you went before your child's school board, where they attend school here in Florida.
Yeah.
And you raised some concerns about the teaching of critical race theory.
Yes.
And this clip ended up blowing up. I want to go ahead and play just a portion of that so everyone can hear it, because it's very, very powerful.
Thank you.
So what drove you to deliver those remarks, and did you expect them to go viral like they did?
I did not. So I had been actively speaking at our school board meetings, at we were having this huge discussion on monuments and school names that were named after Confederate soldiers. And, they were pushing this narrative that black children could not learn because they had to walk into a building with the name of a Confederate soldier. And I just thought that was so insulting. Like, why do you think that these children are somehow significantly different, again, because of this amount of melanin that they have, that prohibits them from learning because of a name? My parents would have laughed me out of the room if I would have went to them and said, Mom and Dad, I got this F because the name on the building, they would have been like, yeah, whatever, go do your homework. But now you have such a push that people actually believe that these things are true. But anyway, so I was speaking up, I've been in the battle with the public school system for actually a very long time because my youngest daughter is a special needs child. And before I even became politically, aware or involved or anything, I was fighting with her school to get her a proper education because they just wanted to stick her in a corner and have her put balls in baskets. And I was like, this kid can read, this kid can learn, this kid can do. And so I had to pull her out and put her in a private school. But it was just a whole mess. So I think it was between all of the work that I had done before with my own child and then seeing all these other children being, strapped with this idea that they can't learn because of the name on a building. And then critical race theory comes in and they're like, oh, yes, well, everything should be taught through a racial lens. And I'm like, y'all have lost y'all's mind. And I mean, it was just so infuriating to me. And I felt just really compelled to go and say something.
Yeah, well, and people listened.
They did.
The world was watching, and they heard what you had to say.
Yeah.
So was it in part because of their reaction that you received to that then you decided, okay, I need to take more action, and you actually formed an organization called Mass Exodus? What was the journey to forming Mass Exodus, and share a little bit about that organization with us?
So in the critical race theory fight against it, I felt like, okay, we've already identified that there's the schoolhouse is on fire. And I feel like if you can get your kids out of, we know that it's terrible. You need to you got to save your kid. If you can get your kid out, you should. Because I don't think we need I appreciate all the evidence that we keep getting that reveals the critical race theory, the pornography that's in schools, just all of the dangerous ideas that are floating around. I don't even call them schools anymore. I just call them indoctrination camps because the kids aren't learning how to read and write and do math and things. They're learning how to be activists. And so I just felt we've got to find a way to get out of the system. When the FBI called us domestic terrorists, that was the straw for me. And I was at the Pray Vote Stand Summit and I said, I'm done. We need a mass exodus because that's the only thing that these people will understand. You pull your child, you pull the funding. We put them in a first, you save your kid, you get them out of the dangerous situation, put them in a better learning environment. And now you actually have some leverage to go and fight these people because you're pulling your money from that system. And so I think it's a win-win. You pull your child, you get them safe, and the money comes with them, and now you have leverage. So
and that's the argument for school choice.
And that is the argument for school choice.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
We need to have those tax dollars follow a child wherever they go.
Wherever they go.
But what would you say to the parent that is thinking, I would love to put my child in a private school, but I can't afford it. Or I would love to homeschool my child, but I don't feel qualified to do that. And they feel like their only option is the public schools.
Well, it is a tough decision. I mean, my oldest daughter is homeschooled now. She's in a homeschool co-op. It's a sacrifice. I will not lie to you. It's not easy. It is a sacrifice. It's a financial sacrifice. Like I said, I pulled my youngest daughter about 5 years ago, and it was scary. But I want parents to know our kids are the one thing that we will go to the ends of the earth for. And just, I think once you understand what these schools, public schools in particular, are doing, you will figure out a way to get them out of that situation. I know it's tough. I by no means want to make it sound like it's an easy thing to do, because it is not. But you have to find a way. And parents, if you can homeschool, and if your only question is, can I do this? Let me tell you with an emphatic yes, you can do it. There are so many resources out there. MassExodusMovement.com has a ton of resources for parents who want to pull their children out of public schools, and it's doable, and it's not as crazy as it used to be. I don't know, say 10 years ago.
Yeah. Well, that's so helpful to know that you all provide resources, because I think the thought of it is, oh my goodness, where do I even start? Right. So MassExodusMovement.com.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So is this happening? Are parents pulling their kids out of the public schools?
It is happening. It is happening, and I am so proud. The last study that I have read, that there has been a 3% increase in parents pulling their children out of public education. And as a side note, a lot of Black American families are pulling their children out of public schools too, because I think they are seeing this is not what we want our kids to be learning.
Yeah.
And so I'm happy to see that all families are, getting their children a better education, and certainly that, Black Americans are seeing that, because a lot of times, Black Americans, Hispanic Americans, we do tend to fall on the lower side of, the economic, gaps and things like that, or learning gaps. And so when kids are in these better environments, they thrive.
Yeah. So tell us again where we can find resources, both Moms for Liberty, and then also for the Mass Exodus movement. How do we get involved? How do we pull on all the resources that are available?
So momsforliberty.org is where you can see if there is a chapter in your state. And if there's not a chapter, you can certainly start one. So all that's on momsforliberty.org. And then you can go to KeishaKing.com or MassExodusMovement.com, and where we have resources. I have my podcast there, The Quisha King Show. And you can find me on Twitter, and I'm everywhere.
Awesome. Keisha, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.